Hi everyone. Welcome to I Am Illuminated Tarot and meaning-based coaching services. So these are monthly readings where I utilize the Triad of Engagement, which are the three basic principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation that, when applied together, keep you fully engaged and in flow with the unique energetic imprint and cycles of your life. All of these readings, along with any of my meaning-based coaching services, are here to help you answer your own I am question so that you can re-engage with life in a more authentic, meaningful, and emotionally fulfilling way. If you are interested in diving a little deeper into the Triad of Engagement and how the three principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation can be applied together to help liberate you from feelings of frustration, anxiety, and detachment, and get you back into feeling engaged and able to find meaning, but also being emotionally fulfilled with the actions you take in your life, you can click on the link below to watch a video where I help explain the importance of these three principles and how to apply them. Additionally, there are links below to my Patreon page where you can find additional information and exercises that can start to get the wheels of engagement turning. All right, so let's get right into your reading, Aries. This again is your monthly reading for June 2021. These messages are meant to take a look at the energies around basically keeping you in flow. We will take a look at curiosity, courage, and contemplation through the cards. And at the same time, keep in mind, please, that these are general readings. So not all of the messages may apply, or the messages may apply, but at different points within the month. So what we will start out with here is I pull three cards. One card to read the energy around curiosity. One card around courage, and I like to lump in courage with courageous action, and then one card for contemplation. So the first card that comes out is what to be curious about. So you guys have contract, which is, and also the number 6. Now, curiosity is about engaging with the energy of optimism, openness, receptivity. This is where we start the experience. We get ready to engage. So this is kind of the starting field, starting point for June for you guys. And in addition to that, it helps you open up to a sense of awe. And we all need to bring a sense of awe and wonder into our lives to help keep us engaged. If you think of a child, most children have this childlike sense of awe and wonder about everything around them because they have had limited experience. So oftentimes, the majority of what they experience is going to be new to them. And that's really where curiosity is bringing us back to that reset point of remembering that we don't know everything. We don't know what's around the next corner. And to be pleasantly open to the best that can come towards you. Now we're going to pull an energetic card for courage. And where, once you start to, kind of reset here on this point, where then can you move forward in taking action? Where is and I always use courage with action because every action we take, no matter how small, utilizes courage. And that can be you deciding to get out of bed in the morning when you have had a horrible day before, or are battling something as severe as depression. Or it could be something as courageous as deciding to walk away from a 9-to-5 job to start your own business, or to, say yes to an engagement. These are all points of action that allow you to engage with your life and realize that you have the chance to make small and large choices every day, but that each one does take the same amount of courage. And once you tap into utilizing courage in your life, it becomes easy. And that's when we start to feel in flow, because the choices we make become natural. Now, for you guys, your point of courageous action is Goddess of the Moon, number 52. And we'll go into all the meanings of these cards and how to apply them. And now we're going to pick a card for Contemplation. And Contemplation really focuses on reflection and integration. So this is where we have learned, and that's too many cards, I will get a few less here. It's really where we have learned a lesson, but now we need to reflect on it to be able to integrate it into our lives. Oftentimes we kind of move through our day, and even though we're always learning and we're always bringing in information, we don't always sit and take the time to contemplate what we've learned in the day or the month or the year that's just passed. And we miss being able to integrate important elements that can help unlock the next step in our life, or help us be able to grow in both an emotional way and a spiritual way. And this is really where contemplation is, I feel, out of the three principles in the Triad of Engagement. They're all important, obviously, and they're all needed to be utilized together. But without contemplation, there is no integration. And so oftentimes that's where we get stuck. We don't learn that lesson, and so we can't move forward. We kind of stay in this holding pattern. And if you kind of look at the three elements of curiosity, courage, and contemplation, you're really looking at intent, movement, and then the responsibility that comes with, okay, I took action. What was the consequence? And now I have the responsibility to understand that consequence and integrate it into my life. So this is also, the Triad of Engagement really helps you learn, how to step into that role of being personally responsible for yourself. And you have Door to Spirit. Aries, you have a really interesting start to your June here. Okay. And the underlying energy for June in general is going to be victory. Beautiful, beautiful card for you guys. Okay. Now that we have this down here, I'm going to get your clarifying cards. So we're going to get a piece of advice for each area. So we're going to get a piece of advice for curiosity, a piece of advice for courage, and a piece of advice for contemplation. So let's see here what's coming up for you guys as far as curiosity is concerned. You guys are a little stiff-lipped. Cards don't want to come out. We have study. Beautiful. We'll go into that as well. For your point of courage and courageous action, where you should focus action this month. Ooh, inspire passion. Now that is definitely a card of Aries there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And your point of contemplation. Let's see if we can get a clarifier here, a piece of advice from Spirit to help you really kind of ground that contemplation and integration of whatever lesson we need to kind of really apply here for the month of June. And you have let go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. And your underlying energy there for the advice is to reach out. So we'll go over all of these. I'll pick one more card here for each. I'm gonna do more. This is a harder deck for me to shuffle. So we'll get one here for curiosity. Beautiful. One more for courageous action. And one more for contemplation. Okay. So we're going to start here with the energetic cards. And I'm going to actually read to you what the description is in the book that comes with these, because that really kind of sets the base, the foundation for each of these 3 principles that you're working with. And again, these principles are meant to be utilized together. And if you do so, this will help keep you engaged through the month of June, specifically to the energetic cycles that pertain to you. So for curiosity, now keeping in mind that this is about experience and optimism, openness, that childlike sense of awe and wonder, you guys have contract. Now contract in this deck, I see similarly, it can kind of be in reference, or not in reference, but it can be a similar card to the card in a basic tarot deck, the major arcana card of justice, which is what's being shown here. Almost that, justice is blind, the equaling of the scales. But for me here, what I'm intuitively picking up is that oftentimes we can find ourselves in contract, that we have signed a contract or made a contract, and this can be not just you signing on the dotted line to take a position, or you actually signing a legal contract, to get married or to do something else. This can also mean these are the contracts that we emotionally make or spiritually make with other people. That these are our commitments. And oftentimes these commitments we can make them at a specific time in our life, and then we either expect a specific outcome in return, or we aren't able to walk away from some commitments as we grow. So a point of curiosity this month, I would say for you, is where have you perhaps made previous commitments or contracts where they no longer maybe fit who you are today. Now you can sit there and say, I don't know who I am today. Isn't that the whole reason why I'm here watching these videos? I am trying to answer that I am fill in the blank question and I don't know. And this is why this is coming up in your point of curiosity, because this is really where the universe in the month of June is going to kind of open up to you and awe you with what possibilities are out there if you perhaps allow yourself to realize, almost like a child seeing things for the first time, seeing things in the present moment with who you are right now, not who you were 10 years ago or 2 months ago or 2 years ago, but who you are right now in this moment, and taking a look at the contracts that you've made, and also taking a look at what's coming into you. So if this month, I have a feeling, because this is kind of your point of initiation, that this is basically where the point of curiosity is, where the dynamic between what I think a lot of people call destiny and free will come into play. So we have destiny and we have courageous action, which is free will. And between these two, this is where the magic happens. This is how you work with spirit, with the universe, with God, whatever you term the greater connective component to life. Because there is something greater than just us breathing in and out and living moment to moment. There is something that is on a deeper level connecting our purpose to something greater and beyond. And it's also, again, with you think of the destiny component and curiosity, relationship to God or the universe or the unknown. This is the unknown. There's always going to be an unknown component to life and the human experience. And so call it what you will. You can look at this as just staying open to the unknown. So this can also represent that there could be contracts coming in now or new opportunities coming in that once you are open and you start to really engage with that core principle of the optimism behind curiosity and the receptivity behind the principle of curiosity, there's going to be something that comes in that you're going to perhaps maybe not have considered. And it's maybe something that's going to come out of left field. Now, the clarifying, and actually let me start with just reading behind the contract. So this is number 6. Number 6 is also in numerology a number of working together, people working together on a spiritual level. It can also represent kind of the element of giving birth to something, creativity, even relate to the home and family. It's a beautiful number and a beautiful card. So contract, partnership and legal commitment. This card shows a contract in the background, ready to be signed, indicating a committed connection of some sort. This union may be a business deal, the sale of a home, a new job, or even a commitment in marriage. Whatever the connection, this card is more than a casual agreement. It's usually something that requires a document that's binding, at least for the time being. The scales of justice also indicate that if a legal action is underway, it is likely to turn out in your favor. This card shines a light on potential new opportunities, so remain aware and receptive to what may be coming your way. And boy, if that doesn't flow right into what we were talking about. So curiosity, again, optimism, openness, receptivity. And one of the clarifying cards you have here, which is your advice card, is study. And it says, Spirit has its own special way of letting you know that it's time to study again. From time to time, it's important to go back and learn, whether that's learning old things in a new way or learning something totally new. This is an opportunity to expand your mind. So this is actually a very interesting card for anyone who is potentially looking to go back to school, or who is perhaps, sorry, I take a drink of water there, or perhaps who is, you might be getting bored at work, and suddenly this month you're going to be offered that opportunity to take a training that is going to open up another avenue of what you felt maybe was closed to you. Or in reflecting on who you are today in this present moment and the contracts you've made, perhaps there is something that you have contracted with or for, but that you can see it in a new way, and now it's time to be curious as to how you can apply this and how destiny this month is going to come into play where you could be able to utilize something you've already studied, already learned, and now it's time to, with whatever comes in this month, you might have that opportunity to say, wait a second, to raise your hand and say, I actually have done that before, and I actually see a new way to apply it. Or for somebody to come out of the blue and come knocking on your door to say, hey, I remember you said you were really good at this. Would you like to help out? And do you still do that? It's one of those things where perhaps it wasn't the right time before, but now it is. And so really this is about staying open. But it does show me here that there is something that is going to be coming in around either an opportunity to learn something new or a way to take what you've already previously learned and reapply it and apply it in a way that would be kind of like a child going to school for the first time. To almost, for instance, this could be the opportunity of somebody from your past coming back in and saying, you know, I remember, you know, you used to work in this industry and maybe you've been out of it for a while, but they come in and they ask, can you help? And you realize that even though you left that industry for a specific reason and you didn't like something part of it, there is something out of that or something that you've studied since then that you can integrate now with the abilities that you picked up in that field, that now you can apply in a slightly different way and with a different outlook. You can say yes and sign a contract to utilize, again, what you've done, but in more of a structured and now I'm curious, like a child going to school, how I can apply a concept that I'm, you know, familiar with, but now get to learn a new aspect of. And then your additional clarifying card is Anna, grandmother of Jesus. Now, we don't have to focus on religion specifically, but this deck does bring in some religious figures. And, you know, it's kind of, I think a lot of people can get a little weirded out if, you know, things like people like Jesus and Buddha and, you know, other references to religions are brought up in tarot readings or in kind of these, you know, I'd say universal readings. And in reality, we have to realize that each one of these spiritual teachers, whether you believe that they really existed or not, or that they existed in the way that people who follow religions based around them and their teachings, or like whether you really feel that way, these are people who had an impact on the human condition. And so taking what they taught others and how they touched others is important. It's as important as I feel reading the ancient philosophers, because each one had their own perspective. And just like each one of us has our own unique perspective, the more you know about somebody else's perspective, the more you can broaden your perspective. It's kind of, you know, like for anybody who is similar in age to myself, and you were, you know, a kid in the 80s and 90s, and, you know, there was that The More You Know, I think it was on CBS or ABC, I don't know. But it really is, it's like such a simple concept. The more you know, the more you know. And that really is the case, because it can go the opposite way. What you don't know, you don't know. So we should always be, you know, being open and receptive to what we don't know and trying to build on the more you know, the more you know. So anyways, Anna, grandmother of Jesus. And what it says is seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. And how I see this kind of being brought in is that if you're not familiar with the story of Jesus, you know, when you think about it, so the famous players in the story of Jesus and in, you know, the Christian faith are Jesus and his mother, Mary, who gave, you know, immaculate birth to him. Basically, she, you know, immaculately conceived, meaning she conceived without technically going through the sexual act. And that is what is, supported in the Christian faith. But here, you would take it one step back to the grandmother of Jesus. And now the grandmother may not have been alive at the time of when Jesus stepped into him becoming a spiritual leader and realizing his purpose and meaning, and also realizing his own passion. But she laid the foundations for what was to come. And with optimism and openness and receptivity, she laid the foundations for a divine plan for destiny to work through her. Now, she may not have, again, been able to see the plant, the true blooming of the plant that she laid the seeds for. But I think this is a great message to kind of bring forward, in that we don't know where the ultimate end of our actions will go. We don't know if we sign a contract today that 25 years from now it will turn into this. A good example would be you accept, a small, let's say you're a writer and you take on this little job to do freelance writing for a, startup online service. You don't know if that startup online service is suddenly, 10 years from now going to be the biggest thing, and your little side contract job then grows into this full-on, now you're the copyright editor and you help write a book for this project or concept that ends up making millions of dollars. You don't know that. Same thing on a small level. Like, you don't know, if you think about all of the different artists and writers and inventors throughout history, many of them never in their own lifetimes saw the full potential of what they chose to put out into the world. And we can say sometimes that that's a shame, but also we can say, isn't that kind of the way we all have to live? We all have to live with that sense of awe and wonder and hope. And it can actually that principle can come down into also having children. We don't know if we're going to be able to see who this child will become, and we have no idea if they have children, what their children's children will end up doing. And so this is all kind of coming together to really focus on that fact of, this month, stay open to the contracts, to the opportunities that are going to be coming in, especially around areas where you can apply some type of skill set or learn a new skill set. And don't be focused on the outcome. Don't be focused on, where is this going to take me 25 years from now? How is this going to benefit me monetarily? Focus more on what's coming in and what feels on an emotional level like a true opportunity that gets you excited, that helps you feel that optimistic excitement that a child would when he comes racing home from school and says, "Mommy, Daddy, this is what I learned today." And to us, it's like, yeah, I know about dinosaurs, good for you. But for them, it is so awe-inspiring, because in that moment, they didn't know dinosaurs existed. And that's kind of where we're coming in here, that whatever's coming in for you, there's a destiny behind it. So don't be afraid to step into it, because when there's a destined plan, it becomes easy to say yes. Because then we move into here, which is courage. This is the point of action. So we start with staying open to what destiny is bringing in, and we move into now our part to play. No, we can't just sit back and let destiny happen, because if we're just waiting for the opportunity, but we don't actually take the action to take that opportunity or do what needs to be done to make that opportunity work for us, then there is no opportunity. Then destiny basically dies on the table. So this is the point right here, the crux of true engagement with life. So courage, goddess of the moon, beautiful card. Now, just to kind of go into the moon energy in general and tarot and oracle cards, a lot of times it can focus on kind of the unknown, the kind of what's hidden in the shadows. Because if you think about daylight and the sun, we can see everything. That's illumination. It's very easy to see around you in daylight. But when you think of moonlight, and you think of the night, there are shadows. And it is hard to see things accurately. In fact, sometimes we end up seeing things inaccurately or making assumptions that something is something else. And in addition to that, I also just personally, see the moon and its representation in these type of readings as faith. Walking in faith. So there is this element of being able to kind of walk through the shadows. I think every single person at some point in their life will, in the middle of the night, be afraid. We will misinterpret something, or we'll be, walking home and we see something in the shadows and it makes us get afraid. And so there is this element of faith, of moving forward or going back to bed, even though you think you're afraid, going back to bed on faith that everything's okay. And I think that's a beautiful component, because really where courageous action focuses is faith. So if curiosity is awe, courage is faith. Because you have, let's say you just have courage enough to get out of bed in the morning. Well, that also is based on faith, that that if you get up and you go through the effort of getting ready and all of that, that the faith comes with the day will get better. That something will happen in the day that I need to get up for and be prepared to face. And this can be, again, on that small level, it can be on a large level. It can be, I'm going to take action towards starting my own business. And that involves faith. That involves really digging deep to have faith in yourself, in your abilities, and faith in those around you and your environment and how you integrate those two. So when we have faith in ourselves and an equal amount of faith in others, that gets mirrored back to us. And the reverse can be, if we don't have faith in others, oftentimes that's mirrored back to us and us not having faith in ourselves, and vice versa. So if we don't have faith in ourselves, we oftentimes are wary of other people. So faith really is just as important as tapping into awe that keeps us open and optimistic and excited for the unknown. Faith keeps us grounded in the knowledge that we are capable just as much as another is capable, that we can love just as much as another is capable of love, and being able to have faith in things that are good, things that are beneficial. And that's what keeps us having that courage to take action, to be engaged, to keep moving forward instead of standing still or being stuck or being too afraid to take destiny up on an offer. So I'm going to read the Goddess of the Moon message here, which is intuition going within. This card shows an eternal spirit holding the bright, reflective moon and standing in front of the crystal clear waters of a sparkling waterfall. Her arms are stretched upward, receiving the light of the moon, the light of inspiration. This card is all about intuition, the ability to receive insights from your soul's point of view. Receiving the card upright tells you that you have the power to get intuitive information on all types of issues, and now is the time to use it. The Goddess of the Moon brings you all sorts of information, from the mundane to the spectacular. For instance, you could get the urge to take a different route home from work and find out later that you've avoided a 3-hour traffic jam. Or you might have an idea for a great invention, a stock investment, or a spellbinding novel. This card could also indicate a significant blossoming of psychic ability and mediumship, even on a professional level. You're always blessed with this ability to connect, But this card is telling you that now is the perfect time to open up. Get ready for the amazing inspiration this brings. And how perfect that we have inspire passion. So really, this card is talking about tapping into your intuition and being ready to act in a way that inspires passion, both in yourself and in those around you. So reading the message here, life devoid of passion can be a boring, uninspired blank canvas that slowly drains the soul. Now is the time to reignite your passions and rejoin life. This is an opportunity to set new goals, which will in turn reconnect you with all that is sacred. And boy, if those two things don't come together. So really what I'm seeing here is, with these two cards, destiny is at play in providing you with an option, something that will come in as long as you are able to be flexible with your contracts, both major contracts and the small verbal or spiritual or emotional contracts that we've made, and being able to be flexible with changing those up, releasing ones that no longer suit you, so that you can stay open to what the universe is bringing in, to then focus on, okay, what's coming in, the action then that I take towards that is going to have to be based on my passions. And how am I going to know what I'm passionate about? Well, you're going to go back to your intuition. Your intuition is what allows, it's like your radar. It's your tuning device. It's what tells you this feels good, this doesn't. Now, being able to feel your intuition and utilize it is definitely something that is an acquired skill. I mean, it's not an acquired skill. I'd say it's more like a muscle. A lot of us get closed off to utilizing our intuition, and our intuition directly taps into our emotional core. And, I talk a lot about the importance of tapping into your emotional core, and why I do that is because people, yes, we think, but we feel first. And action comes from feeling something so greatly that we almost can't contain it. We are then pushed by a feeling to move forward. In addition, when we talk about happiness and meaning and fulfillment, those are all things that cannot be realized in the human kind of plane of existence without feeling them. If you can, in your head, think about meaning, that doesn't mean anything to you until you feel it for yourself. Same with happiness. You can think about happiness all you want, but if you don't know what that feels like unique to yourself, you never truly understand or experience happiness in the tangible reality. It's always just this kind of elusive, I can see it, but I don't know what it is. And so until we start to bring things down to our emotional core, till we start to feel, does something feel right or does it feel wrong? Does it feel good or does it feel bad? That's really where we start to understand how to take action and how to feel in flow. How to feel like things are effortless, because most of the decisions you're making feel good because you already know to stay away from the things that make you feel bad. Like not accepting a job offer that comes in that offers you maybe a bunch more money, but you know that the stress made you unhealthy or sick, or ignore your family, or made you lose your ability to create on a meaningful level. And instead, okay, what mentally looks good on paper will not make me feel good. And so you don't even consider that option because you automatically know it's not right for me. And instead, you keep yourself then open to things that are. So here, what this is saying is that really, this is where you're taking courageous action is on your intuition and what is coming from passion. Where you feel that fire. What is going to engage you with life on that level, life from that emotional place. So if, let's say, 3 different options come in, you can easily gauge which is the option for me, because one of them is going to, so let's say a good example would be, okay, you have 3 options that come in, and one is, okay, I could take a training course at work that is going to allow me to step into this new kind of managerial role that will bring me more money. One is, this new course I could take that I've been thinking about, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to have the money to take it. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, you get offered, let's say, a discount package rate, or somebody offers you the ability to have a scholarship or something along those lines to study something that perhaps you've never studied before, and it really has no relation to the job you're working now, but it's something you've been thinking about and sitting back, and it's now, with who you are today, it is something that you're passionate about, and maybe you haven't told anybody about it. And then maybe another opportunity comes in, and it's something along the lines of going back to a contract that you had signed previously. And it could even be based around a relationship that you have with somebody, that maybe, a partner comes in and says, hey, I have this idea for this, to do this. And this is where you're going to use your intuition to figure out, okay, I could take this course at work. Does this management position that ultimately I would get after taking this course and putting the time and effort into taking action around that, would that bring me that sense of fulfillment of me saying, okay, I am a manager at my place of work? Like, does that make me feel good to think about saying that? Or does it make me feel better to say, if I took this new course and this passion, whatever that passion is based on, let's say it is tarot. Let's say you get this opportunity to study with this person, this spiritual advisor who is great at tarot, and you think about what it would feel like to say, I am a tarot reader, or I am a spiritual counselor. How does that make you feel? Or on the other side, maybe your, again, significant other has this opportunity where you guys can start a business together, and you think about what that means to you to say, I am a small business owner, or me and my significant other own our own business, and I am the CEO of the company. So this is where tapping into that emotional connection, but also tapping into what it feels like to say, it's taking action towards fulfilling and illuminating part of who you are, who you identify as, really comes down into, right here, this point of action, this inspired passion. And that's going to give you that radar as to which opportunity to choose. And that really also connects with the sign of Aries, which your kind of motto for your astrological sign is I am. And this is really, I think, that month for you where you're going to really have a breakthrough in understanding the power that you have, that in the choices you make, you get to choose who you identify as moving forward. Now, the last card here is Pleiades. It says double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. So from this, I do get that whatever is going to be inspiring passion here is going to be linked to service of some sort. Now, it is my personal belief that in just being the most authentic version of yourself and in continuing to engage with life in a courageous way and staying optimistic and in continuing to make choices and take actions based from a place of courage and faith, that you are being of service. And I think that this is a great, and you may hear me talk about it a lot, but I do think it's important, so I like to kind of hammer it home. We have so many people nowadays who are, looking to get meaning out of where they work or what they do. People who want to work for nonprofits or for companies that have some great initiative that makes them feel good, like that they are being of service and that what they do every day is helping the greater good, the greater all. In reality, you can take that down to a very simple level. And I look at, you don't have to, work for a company that has some giant global initiative to actually have the greatest impact on connecting to the greater good of all. By just being you and just following your passions and what you're guided to do, you are filling that puzzle piece. You are filling a role that helps all of humanity on a very basic but also a very grand level. Because when you step into that role of yourself and you follow whatever unique passion you follow, you are allowing, and actually you take responsibility for work, self-responsibility. You allow somebody else to also be self-responsible to themselves, because they are not trying to fill the place that you're not filling, and they're able to then just focus on themselves. So I think, an example of this, and this actually pertains to somebody real in my life, but it's interesting. So I have a friend who is very passionate about elephants, and her dream is to work with elephants, or work in Africa, like with elephant rescue. But sometimes she poo-poos it, kind of like that's never going to happen. But in reality, that dream, desire, goal is not something that you hear from a lot of people. And if you think about it, if people like her don't act on that passion, that desire, then a very important species on our planet could be left to suffer. And then somebody who maybe is not as equally passionate is left to kind of haphazardly help in that area or take care of elephants, but they don't really want to, so they don't really care about what they're doing. So in turn, their lives kind of feel meaningless because they're just going through the motions of doing something. And in turn, my friend's life feels meaningless because she's not realizing the full potential of realizing her passion into life. And so it's kind of a sad loss on both sides, and a sad loss to the elephants who could end up blossoming and becoming more abundant and thriving under somebody who every day, this is their joy, their passion, And so you kind of have to think about your own passions, your own drives, your own desires like that you don't have to work for a company that has a global initiative to save every person in the world. You just have to be able to live, to know yourself, and then to connect that part of yourself to life, to the greater all, so that somebody or something or some industry or some area or some environment gets to benefit from your happiness, your optimism, your passion. Now we move into final principle here, which is contemplation. So this is really where that responsibility comes into. Okay, you're going to take action on your passions, and what is that going to bring you? So Door to Spirit, beautiful card. I'm going to read the message behind this here first to start. So again, thinking about reflection, integration, and even transcendence. Contemplation is where we can learn and apply lessons to the point that allows us to be able to transcend what I consider original or current limitations. Meaning this is growth. This is as we expand, we outgrow locations, we outgrow work environments, we outgrow relationships, and this is our point of expansion. But it is being able to transcend. So perhaps you were born into a specific environment, and as you learn lessons and apply them and integrate them and you grow, you see ways to go and move beyond that original perhaps limitation of regionality, of where you were born and the opportunities of that environment bring. Same thing with relationships or even, work environments, that as you apply what you've learned, you then can grow into new positions, or you can transcend from, one work environment to another work environment. And this is really important, and this is really beautiful for anybody who wants to really tap into the power of transcendence, of liberation, of not being held back by anything, whether it's your original circumstances, so who you were born to, where you were born, your circumstances at birth, or your current circumstances, so where you are now and what you feel is holding you back. Contemplation is that point of integration that will allow you to break those chains that are holding you back from growing and from moving forward. So, number 32, we have Door to Spirit. Spiritual awakenings and new beginnings. This door opens onto the expansive energetic realm where all new beginnings originate. The orbs of light are guiding you through the clouds of the earthly world, leading you to a deeper understanding of your eternal identity, the source of all true value and power. This door opens onto truly unlimited potential, for the changes that happen here reach deep into the core of your being. As such, this card often heralds your increasing powers in the spiritual arts and a deepening connection with the spirit world. Don't be surprised if you find yourself becoming more intuitive, more aware of Spirit's presence, or more powerful in your own healing practices. Now is the time to open up to the unexpected guidance and inspiration of Spirit, and to the magic and power of your true identity. And wow, if that doesn't just bring this all together. So really here what the focus is, the contemplation is being able to understand the interplay between destiny and action, and the free will action that you take, and understanding the importance of refocusing on your intuition, refocusing on taking a look back and seeing how the unknown, again, whether it's universe, whether it's spirit, whether it's basically the connection or the connectivity force that is beyond us. It is that dynamic tension between us and all. And really understanding how that has played into where you are today at this very moment, and who you are today in the circumstances that you find yourself. And then we have, as the advice, let go. Once you let go of the outcome, you'll be able to release all the emotional constraints that have held you back in the past. Trust in the higher good and guidance of Spirit, as we have only your best intentions at heart and will do everything in our power to protect you. And I think that goes beautifully with going back to what we were saying here about Anna, grandmother of Jesus. It's not about acting from a place of, expectation of what could happen 25 years from now, 5 minutes from now, whatever you think you're expecting. It's about coming back to what emotionally feels good for you, and starting to fill that role, that unique role that is only meant for you, and bringing that to connect with the all. So bringing the you and the all together, just like you bring destiny and free will together through courageous action and through staying open. And by doing this, you are trusting, you have faith in the higher good, and you in turn will, if you stay open, what the consequences of your actions might become are, instead of thinking, oh gosh, I'm afraid of the consequences, I don't know, instead reverse that and think, gosh, what if this could be so much better than I could have ever thought? And at the very least, it'll make me feel fulfilled. But what if this little book idea I have grows into something that inspires generations of people to come, even if I can't see it? What if me taking this course allows me to become a counselor where I may only help 3 people, but those 3 people will go on to live amazing lives, and who knows the lives that they might touch as I've touched theirs. But this is about opening up to faith. This is a beautiful spread for you guys. June is a very important month. It's really about reconnecting with your personal power. It's really coming back to you guys harnessing the power of your own sign, of the I am. I am what? And then letting go. You know, there's that saying of let go and let God, and there is that element here of stay at, as long as you'll fulfill your end of the bargain, destiny will fulfill its end of the bargain. And the last piece here is Mintalkin, longing for home, belonging, the original light workers. And really what I think here, you know, kind of tying again, coming back to the beginning and going back, you know, and seeing how this comes full circle, is oftentimes we can feel out of place in the contracts and the agreements that we've made because they fit an old version of ourselves, or we felt pressured to say yes to something or no to something even that we now feel differently about. And that can leave us feeling kind of detached and frustrated and looking back at the past and almost having this, you know, hindsight is 2020, this element of nostalgia for what had been or what you had hoped would have been. And instead, it's more about you'll find your place and you'll feel belonging the more that you follow who you are. And this isn't about, you know, realizing that your passion is painting and then going out and throwing that in everybody's face and being like, I'm a painter and you have to love my paintings and look at my paintings and all I'm going to do is talk about my paintings. It's not that. It's that, let's say you discover that painting is your passion and you want to share your self-expression, your emotional connection to your experience through your paintings. Well, that's going to naturally draw in people to you who are going to resonate with that expression of yourself, expression of your passion. It'll draw in people who want to support you. It'll draw in, you know, colleagues. It will draw in mentors, people who want to help you continue to grow in that area. And you won't have to be looking backwards, wondering if you had missed an opportunity, because the past is the past. The one thing I have learned, and I think this is a very important point of being able to move past that feeling of being stuck or feeling like you're an observer in your own life, is that the past is the past. And so many of us spend so much time looking back at the past, thinking of like, what if I had said yes here? What if I had not done this? What if this had happened? And in reality, that's wasted time. Yes, we can look back and we can learn lessons that we can pull forward, but the past is locked. There is no way we can go back and change what has happened in the past. The only thing that we can change or take action on is in the present. This is the only point that matters. because the future is also always unknown. And that's really where the letting go comes in. We don't know what the outcome is going to be. And that's the beauty of life. Because if everything was, step by step out there, and we knew if we made this choice, this is exactly the outcome that would happen, well, life would be very boring. And we wouldn't learn, because we would just be going through the actions. It'd be like putting together an IKEA cabinet. If I put this piece together with this piece, this is exactly what I get. Okay, great. It's wonderful. You get to put together the cabinet that you were hoping for, but then you have a cabinet and you move on from it. And life is not about just doing something, getting a result, and that's it, and walking away. It's about this continual movement. It's the wheels, it's the cogs, it's the gears pulling us forward. That's what gives us meaning. That's what keeps us engaged in living our lives. Can't live anybody else's lives. Nobody can live your life. But you can stay engaged with your experience of life. And that's really about not looking backwards. It's about realizing that the seat of belonging, that seat of feeling that emotional fulfillment, and we all want to belong. One of the core tenets, or I wouldn't say core tenets, but one of my founding mentors behind a lot of my meaning-based coaching practice is, comes from logotherapy. And logotherapy was started by a man named Viktor Frankl. He was actually a concentration camp survivor, but he was a contemporary of Freud and a lot of the psychoanalysis growth that happened in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. And he really focused on, looking at the fact that we all have our own experience. We all have to live our own lives. And we all suffer at some point. Life is suffering, but it's the meaning that we give to that suffering that allows us to actually feel meaning in our lives. That at some point we're going to feel tension about something that didn't work out, or we're going to find ourselves in a position in life that leaves us wondering why, or we're victims to an external circumstance that makes us suffer. But you can always find your own meaning in the actions you choose to take towards that point of suffering, and how you grow and how you integrate it into your life. And he really did focus on the here and the now, and that you can't change the past, and that you have to let go of the outcome. You have to stay personally responsible in the actions you take. You can't just be reckless and say, well, my passion is this and to heck with you all. But that's our connectivity. That's us versus the all. That's that dynamic tension. But he also really did focus on honing in on the fact that he felt truly that man's basic elemental drive, what pushed humans to do anything, or the drive to feel fulfilled, came from a drive to find meaning. That everybody wants to feel like they have a purpose, that what they do has meaning. And I take that one step further, that it's not even just our need to find meaning in what we do and in the suffering that we experience and in the highs and the lows that we experience. It's also about our need to connect that experience with others. So I take it one step further and look at, we have this desire to find meaning, and meaning is the core foundation. If you don't feel that anything you do has meaning, That's where real anxiety, real depression, real disconnection comes from. And that is suffering, but that's suffering without meaning, if you can kind of, take a look at it that way. Once you find meaning, once you understand how you can control your perspective of meaning in taking action and making choices based on who you are, then you can take that part of yourself and connect that part of yourself, your unique self, to the greater all, to others. You get to share that with people who are excited about what you do, who share in your enthusiasms, who share in your passions, who share in the best and the worst of your life. And I really feel that that's an important part of moving fully into that place of fulfillment as a human. Understanding that this is who I am right now, and being able to bring that authentically, so that when you connect with somebody else, when you're face to face with somebody else, or you're at work, or you're on the phone, you're able to go ahead and present that part of yourself in a proud and confident way. And that in turn allows the other person to feel comfortable in doing the same. And that's how we engage our unique self with the greater, bigger picture of everything, and how we can truly be of service. Aries, I'm going to leave it here for you this month. June is going to be a big month if you can stay open and reconnect with a point of passion for yourself. Do not be afraid if you have to go back to study something or to adapt a childlike sense of not knowing, and be prepared to let go. Have faith this month. This is a month really about drawing together these 3 points and bringing it into this place of letting go. And you will be victorious. And the reach out card here, I'm just going to read this as the last point of note. It says, we know you're reaching out right now for help due to a current situation. Support is as much about the physical act of accepting help we're offered as it is about the emotional benefits of learning that it's truly okay to accept support however it is presented to you. And I think that that's a great message to leave on here, that sometimes we will turn our back on opportunities because we don't feel that we have the support. We don't feel that, whether it's monetary support or emotional support or even physical support, that this is about having the faith that that support will come in, that as you start to take action and have faith on what brings you, what makes you feel that spark of passion, that interest, that excitement, that childlike, I can't wait to go home and tell mommy and daddy about dinosaurs feeling, that people are going to come in to help you. And that's about staying open. You might be surprised. And that might have to come from releasing an old contract to allow for something else to come in. All right, Aries, I hope you have a fantastic June. I am so excited for you. In fact, I have a few Aries in my life that I am really excited for them to see what comes through for them this month. And if you would like to book your own personal reading or a one-on-one coaching session with me, the link to my website is in the description box below. If you have any interest in looking at additional reads, so I do have a Patreon page where I, for each month, include some interactive exercises to help you engage a little bit more with your message, but also help you just start to work more with the 3 basic principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation. I also do focus on readings for the month that are expanded, kind of supplemental versions of these readings. So they focus on love, they focus on what I consider, I guess you could say, health, but it's more about your emotional and spiritual connection. and about what we could also say is wealth and your work environment, but it's more about abundance and tapping into understanding what to focus on your abundance side. And we go into looking at, in each area, a block and potentially how to work around that block. All right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful month of June. I hope to see you back in July, and bye for now, until July.